Show you a bunch of knives and briefly go over their uses. This right here is a paring knife, good for opening packages and doing small work like cutting up a strawberry. This is a boning knife, usable when you're trimming meat or trying to debone a piece of beef or chicken. This right here is a vegetable cleaver. I like these because they're thicker and a little bit more sturdy than your traditional chef knife, which is the next knife I have right here. These are what a lot of people are used to seeing chefs use. They're very good. I personally like the dimples on the Santoku style knife because the vegetables won't stick as much to the knife. This is a offset serrated knife, usable for cutting bread or meat, and so when you have your hand, it's going to come down and your hand is actually not going to hit the counter, so you have a much easier time cutting. This very nice leather cover I actually had a good friend of mine, Eric Larkin, make for me. He does wonderful leatherworking work. This is a knife used for slicing big cuts of meat. This knife right here is another Santoku style knife that has those dimples on it like I mentioned with the vegetable cleaver. This is a diamond tipped steel. This is for honing a knife. This is not for sharpening a knife. I like the flat style because it works better with the knives. And then this right here, this is a Utopia Kitchen brand Japanese whetstone. So what you're going to want to do is soak the stone in water for about 10 minutes before you do any additional sharpening. And I will be going over that shortly. So once again, these are the various types of knives, and there are many more than this. These are just a few of what I use. And in my kitchen, I would recommend that you have a paring knife, some sort of a chef or a Santoku knife, and some sort of a bread or a slicing knife for your general purpose needs. Alright, now we're going to go over some knife sharpening basics. Some things that you're going to need is whatever knife that you plan on sharpening. I use a 2-grit Japanese waterstone. What you do with these is you're going to soak it in water for 10 minutes. I have a vessel here. There's a 600 grit and a 1000 grit side. You're going to start on the coarser side and then move to the finer side. So we're going to put that into the water for 10 minutes. And now that it's been soaking for 10 minutes, take it out, let it drip dry a little bit. And this model I have is a nice feature in that it has a rubber base that you can put it into to stop it from sliding around. If you don't have one with one of these rubber bases, you can just use a paper towel or a cloth. We're also going to need a paper towel and a cloth to wipe off in between. And this is a diamond steel knife that you're going to use at the end to hone the knife. So the knife blade is going to over time bend one way or the other. And if it's still sharp, but it's just bent a little bit, it's at a microscopic level, you're not really going to see it too much. If you just hone it on the steel, you'll be good. But when you've been cutting a lot or you're using it to cut through tough things like potatoes and bones, you're going to have to sharpen it. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure that it's slightly damp still. And then you're going to start at one end or the other. I usually start at the base and then work towards the tip. At 15 to 20 degrees as far as holding the knife. And you're going to move it in one slow motion, back and forth. I alternate so that you always know how much you've done it. That's one. I usually do it about 10 times, flip it to the other side, do it 10 times, and see how sharp it is. So you want to keep even pressure, spread your fingers out across it. What I'm doing, I don't recommend for children or novices, but all that I'm doing is just running the knife very, very gently across my knife. The fine ridges of your fingertip will pick up the blade, and the sharper it is, the more likely it is to catch. If you kind of just run your finger across it, it's probably not too sharp. So I'll move it over to the fine side, and we'll give it about 5 passes. You can already feel the difference from when I started. Make sure you wipe off all of the particles that are on the knife. There's little microscopic bits of metal, and you don't want that getting into whatever you're going to be cooking with and cutting. So now with your steel, it's made so that you can stand it like this and sharpen down. I don't personally like that way. I actually use my steel versus moving the knife. So what I mean by that is I'm going to keep the knife still, 15-20 degree angle once again. A helpful thing for some people is to use your fingertip to kind of help you find that angle, and if you need a guidance on it. And then I move the steel across the blade. So now, compared to when we start, I'm feeling the finger ridges catching a lot more across the knife. You can even hear it a little bit. So I'll be sure to wipe off the knife. Steel. There is another method that some people use, and it's depending on how you want to go across it, but some people will press the knife and go like this across it, but I find that that is more likely to give you an uneven stroke, so that you're going to have possibly sharper or duller areas to the knife. But everybody, like I said, does it differently. You're welcome to go look at other videos, but this is just my simple basics on how to sharpen a knife. Thank you very much.